Hello, welcome to Garden Chronicles. I'm James David, and today's video is just going to be a light and easy. It's more on a plant shopping in a local shopping mall here, and what you can expect to find in some. And these are some of my thoughts concerning the plants collection sold here. So sit back and relax and enjoy, and as I share what is all about here. Let us discuss about this particular plant known as Monstera Borsigiana. It has a close resemblance of Monstera deliciosa. Once it was a highly sought after plant. Even the leaf cutting node can easily cost you about 300 plus. But after oversupply and the trends collapse, it's very much affordable plant now. As you can see here, the price is somewhere around 89 ringgit. So it's fairly reasonable for this particular size. Do know that this is a very slow growing plant. It is still considered a popular plant, but not highly sought after now. However, do not get me wrong that it is not a hardy plant, and you may able to kill this one easily if it's either overwatered or underwatered or exposed to too much sun or is releasing too much moisture, and it can even have a root rot or stem rot, sort of that kind of things, which is how do you say, it is actually indeed a fussy plant. So it's not something like a common photos plant where you can actually trim and put them in water and it will be able to grow very well without any care. This particular one was a little bit fussy. So do take note about that, because proper care and cultivation is required. One of the things that I often get is that I get friends who impulsively buy these plants, and after purchasing the plant for a few weeks and contact me and ask me why did the plant die, and these are the few afterthoughts that I want to mention, that it is going to be a kind of requiring where care and maintenance is one of the things that you need to pay attention, because if you were to make such mistakes, these plants do die in your hand. Coming to the next plant, this particular one, commonly known as lucky bamboo plant, it's not truly a bamboo plant, and actually it's identified as a Dracaena sandriana, often sold as a feng shui plant. There are a lot more cultural elements to this particular one, and of course usually you will find that it is always the stem rather than the plant itself. So and I always find that the leaves were often stripped off, and it's more on what do you call this, sold in this kind of a circular kind of a form. So what I want to mention to you here is that this will not remain in this condition for long term. So if you're planning to plant it, when you plant it, it will actually change to its normal form. And if you intend to keep them indoors and just place them in water, it will survive, but it will not last for very long. It can set for root rot and stem rot, and if that happens, the whole stem may be infected and thing can get rotten away. So do keep in mind that this particular kind of conditions may not work for this plant in long term. So when you purchase it, take in mind that this is actually set in a way that it's just for decorative purpose. So if you were to plant it, the new leaves will grow and the whole plant may turn to be a little bit more leggy, and the true nature of a Dracaena plant, that's what you actually will get. So do keep in mind that this is not a true form. Coming to our next plant, this is commonly known as Pusivilo Plant. It's actually not a plant, it's actually a flower stem cutting. Way back then, years ago, they were actually being imported in with the root ball and all that, and they were actually sold in quite an expensive price. But I think due to the economic factor, I think this is just brought in as flower cutting. I do note that this is actually a true form, and it has a, what do you call that? It's a living organism where the flowers are actually real. They are not cotton buds stuck into a stem. However, do note that they will not grow. It's just like a plant cutting. So do take note that the other factor about it is that it can last for a very long time. You can keep it for at least about 2 to 3 years in that true nature form. It can dry out, but nothing bad will happen to it. So it is actually a decorative flower cutting. You will not able to root it, and of course it cannot grow in a tropical condition because it does require a temperate region for it. Coming to the next plant here, this is considered as a corn plant. It's not a true corn. This is actually a Dracaena fragrans. It's actually quite a big tree, more like a tree trunk kind of a plant. But I think this is introduced as an indoor plant, which will take many years for it to grow, and so it's introduced as an indoor plant. This is Philodendron Birkin. Also, one time ago was considered a rare plant, but I think now it's very much common and it's easily available. I must say that this is one of those tissue culture plants which is now was brought in bulk. One time ago it was considered rare. This is Oregano, Cuban Oregano. Is actually a sun-loving plant. A little bit of the collection here, and I've also noticed that aloe vera is actually making a comeback here again. This kind of herbs do require a good sunlight. It will not do very well indoors. This is a Syngonium species. I think it's a very common form. This is also another one which is also making a comeback. It's known as a Polka Dot Plant. This is more on a red variety. I had tried few times. A little bit fussy plant, I think. More of a sun lover. But other than that, it's not a difficult plant to cultivate. I must say that they have a full collection here. The white, the pink, and the red. Normally, this is the three colors that I actually come across when it comes to a polka dot plant. I think it requires a fairly good strong sunlight for it to grow and thrive. A little bit of this how do you say succulents collection. Yeah, I think this is a tiger jaw which didn't make it. I think some of the succulent here are actually cold temperate ones, so you really need to know your succulent before you're purchasing them, because some of them actually will not do very well. I'm surprised to see Calissa reprens here. They're actually more of an invasive plant, easily grown, and also it's been introduced here as a plant collection. So there are varieties of this. I must say that one time ago in Sungai Blue, this was sold like 3 for 10, but I think it's a mixed collection here. This is a creeping fig, more of a variegated species. Can't really see the price. One time ago it was actually expensive, but I think this is a smaller form, and I'm surprised it's here. This is I can't really recall the common name. I think it's known if Phytonias, but this color is quite vibrant. I used to have a lot of it, but I really can't say because they are fussy, and snail seems to love them. This is another form which I also have, but it all died. So it is one thing though that you must understand that peperomias also tend to be sensitive plants, and there is some science to it that you really need to know before cultivating them. So this, as I was mentioning to you, is more on a light easy, and just want to give to you that there are some in collection which is easy to grow, but some of them are very difficult and fussy. Okay, this is actually a Kalin Koi, something similar like mother of thousand plants. You will see that this has always been introduced during a festive season where they have a lot of colors and vibrancy on this. Do take note that to rebloom them in a tropical condition can be very extremely difficult. They do need to go through some cold nights and long duration of darkness before they bloom, or some signs towards that, since that similarities similar to poisontas. So do take note that when these are actually sold here, they don't last in next season. A little bit more of ferns that I notice here, and I think this is Boston fern, so this is a hardy one, and I think this is more of a winner if you tend to keep in long terms. Some of the cactus and succulents and petunias. As I mentioned earlier, this is all the small potted ones, just nicely wrapped. So they have these other ones in their collection. Rosemary, I really would not recommend in a tropical zone where it's going to rain and sun and shine, and I think this thing will just wither away. I think this is all has been brought up from Cameron. This is a common form of basil, if I'm not wrong. It's a Thai basil. Yes. And comes to this particular caladium, I would say this as one of the things that I would say it's a hilo caladium, if I'm not wrong. It's actually a rare plant. I think it would have sold at least about 300 to 500 one time ago, and highly sought after. And suddenly it's back here in the market. So this is one of the things that I want to mention to you. Sometimes you'll find this kind of jewels sold here for a very good price, and of course now that the trend has already gone down, a little bit of this oxalis. I think this form is very much flushed in one purple color. I have come across different varieties. As I said, sometimes when they are trending, a lot of this will be brought down. I think this during this festive season, so all these plants were actually showing up in the market. A little bit of Polka Dot Plant. Okay, this is another form of Dracaena, the one that you actually saw in a circular motion, the one that I was talking about as a feng shui plant. This is another form, totally a different species, if I'm not wrong, but I think this is very much with the leaves. And some of these chrysanthemums are making a comeback, but I think it's more of a buy and throw away plants. I think it's more as a cut flower but lasts longer. As I said earlier, when it comes to Kalin Koi, these are the available colors and forms that are sold here in this particular shopping mall. And again, as I want to mention to you that these are short span plants. You can actually enjoy them and keep them for at least about 3 weeks at most. I think this is already in full bloom, so you've got another 1 more week to go, at least more than 2 weeks. Care and maintenance is required because anytime you're overexposed to sun, and the flowers will just die away. But the plant is actually hardy. You can actually cultivate the plant, but it will now flower again. So that is the not a plus point when it comes to this plant. A little bit of this, I think it's more a rubber tree plant, maybe wrong. This is actually a lipstick plant. However, I don't see the flowers. I think it has spent itself, and it requires some cold factors for it to bloom. A spider plant. I think this is a very beautiful form. And a little bit more of all the flowering plants, and I think this is the festive season where all this has been introduced. As I just mentioned to you, when the flowers are already spent, you can already see it now. It's already showing its the blooms is already spent. So it is one of the things that you have to take note of, that they don't last long. So such as this, if you can notice that how do you say, the only way you can actually save the plant is trim off the flowers and replant them. This is another Cattleya. So of course here and there they will come in a show, but again, as I say, this is a sensitive plant. If you are not sure about it, do not purchase them. It is another form of a rubber plant tree. It is supposed to say indoor hardy plant. Again, it has its challenges. I actually grow this particular one outdoors because I find that they seems to do well. There is another form of a succulent known as Jade Plant. Very slow growing plant, hates water. So do take note not to overwater it, and if you were to do something wrong, the whole thing will just collapse and fall away. So I've come to the conclusion of my video. I hope you enjoyed my plant window shopping. This is the season of Chinese New Year, where it's just finished the momentum, where everybody have already finished purchasing the plants. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Do click like and share your comments what you think of the collection here. Alright, see you again in my next video. Have a nice day. Bye.